In the opening sequence, a team of Navy SEALs emerges from the waters of Aleppo, Syria, swiftly eliminating 2 rebel fighters. Among them is John Kelly, who soon meets CIA agent Ritter to discuss the details of their next mission. Ritter requests their assistance in rescuing a captured CIA operative from a nearby building. However, he casually admits that he has no knowledge of how many insurgents they may encounter, sparking tension between him and John over the lack of intelligence. That night, the SEALs approach the target building with stealth, neutralizing a lookout before breaching the entrance. They rush upstairs, coming under fire but quickly dispatching the soldiers. The team storms into the room, eliminating all hostiles and securing the hostage. Later, John discovers that the men they killed were former Russian military personnel, not Syrians, though Ritter dismisses the revelation. As they prepare to withdraw, an RPG strike collapses the hallway. Several men are killed, but John survives. Commander Greer, however, falls to a lower floor and comes under attack. Ritter refuses to assist her, leaving John and 2 Marines to remain behind. They soon realize they are inside a Russian weapons depot and that Ritter has deceived them. John dives into the hole to fight alongside Greer, and together they battle their way toward the exit. John skillfully ambushes 2 waiting enemies, killing them instantly. They catch up with Ritter as he boards a helicopter.
They weren't just contractors, they were Russian military.
Demanding answers, but Ritter mocks them. John seizes Ritter aggressively, only to be ordered by Greer to stand down. Ritter then calls in an airstrike, obliterating the depot. 3 months later, John and his wife Pam are celebrating her 6th month of pregnancy with friends at his parents' home. Having left the Marines, John receives an offer to work as a private security guard in North Carolina, a role he eagerly anticipates. Meanwhile, Rowdy, a former Marine comrade, is killed when a van deliberately runs him over outside his home. In Atlanta, another Marine, Keith, is ambushed and gunned down after being trapped by traffic. That evening, John and Pam return home from the gathering and prepare for bed. John speaks tenderly about their soon-to-be-born daughter before attempting intimacy, but Pam, exhausted, chooses to sleep. John goes downstairs to relax with music, unaware that a group of armed men is outside cutting the electricity. His laptop's sudden power failure alerts him to the outage. Hearing a floorboard creak, he arms himself with a gun and flashlight. Meanwhile, the attackers ascend the stairs and open fire into Pam's bedroom. John races upstairs, killing one assailant and then another before engaging in a final shootout. Both he and the last attacker are wounded. The enemy runs out of ammunition, staggers to his feet, and escapes. John crawls into the bedroom, desperately calling for Pam, only to find her lifeless. He clutches the blankets in grief before collapsing. The CIA rushes John to the hospital in critical condition. A joint CIA and Marine briefing follows, addressing the coordinated attacks on Special Forces personnel. Ritter insinuates that the SEALs may have entangled themselves in serious complications, prompting Greer to confront him fiercely in defense of her men. Ritter deflects, claiming the agency is investigating. While in a coma, John dreams of Pam and suffers a seizure. Days later, he awakens to find Greer at his side. When he asks about his child, she informs him that neither Pam nor the baby survived. John grieves silently before demanding to know who orchestrated the attack, insisting the assailants were professionals. He recounts the dead man he found in the bedroom and the one who escaped, but Greer has no answers and admits she could not provide them even if she did. Later, Greer is visited in her office by Secretary of Defense Thomas Clay, who praises her judgment, noting her father's respect for her abilities. Clay asks whether John can be trusted, as he has a plan in mind. John begins his recovery. While Clay summons Greer to a meeting. Ritter, displeased with Greer's presence, dismisses her from the briefing. Ritter presents a photograph of the son of the FSB chairman, killed during the raid on the Russian arms depot, whom he believes orchestrated the retaliatory assaults on the Marines. Greer notices 3 images and questions the identity of a 4th attacker, but Ritter dismisses her inquiry, shockingly revealing that the CIA has closed the case, declaring the matter settled. This infuriates Greer, while Clay concedes that if the CIA has ended the investigation, his options are limited. Later, Greer meets John for a drink, aware of his disdain for Ritter, and informs him of the CIA's decision. She shows John photographs of the attackers obtained from Clay, explaining that the 4th figure is a ghost. All of their passports were issued by Andrei Solve, a former FSB operative whom Greer describes as untouchable. A few nights later, John returns to his home, still marked as a crime scene. Overcome with grief, he breaks down in his room, mourning his family. He then retrieves a hidden cache of weapons and money from the basement heater. Upstairs, he prepares his firearm and drenches himself in alcohol before setting out. John tracks Andre to the consulate, feigning drunkenness as he confronts the guards. He witnesses Andre escape in a vehicle and quickly pursues the convoy in his truck. Calling 911, he reports that someone in Andre's convoy pointed a weapon at him, prompting authorities to stop the vehicle and leave Andre isolated. Seizing the moment, John rams Andre's car, trapping it. He pours gasoline over the vehicle as Andre struggles to escape, then ignites it. Charging into the burning car, John kills the driver and corners Andre at gunpoint. Demanding the name of the fourth attacker, he shoots Andre in the leg when he hesitates. Andre reveals that John himself was the intended target, making him the true threat. John shoots him in the chest, puncturing his lung, forcing him to divulge the name, Viktor Rykov. John executes Andre before surrendering to the police who arrive at the scene. News of Russian involvement in the Marine attack spreads quickly, though the CIA and administration attempt to suppress it. Ritter tells Clay they suspect Greer leaked information to John. Ritter worries about sending the wrong signal to Moscow, but Clay counters that John has shaken a tree they could not, and advises waiting to see what emerges. John is imprisoned, facing a life sentence. Greer visits him, but he expresses no regret, feeling betrayed by his country and unable to forgive the loss of his family. He reveals he has uncovered new intelligence, but insists Clay must release him from prison before he shares it. Soon after, John hears Russian voices outside his cell. A guard orders him to face the wall for transport, but John refuses. Preparing for battle, he wraps his fists with a towel, removes his shirt, and floods the cell. When armed guards storm in, John fights ferociously, overpowering them. He seizes one by the neck and demands the others seal the door or he will kill him. More guards arrive, but at that moment U.S. Marshals intervene, halting the assault and handing John a phone. Greer instructs him to follow the marshals to freedom. John is taken to a black site where Clay, Ritter, and CIA Chief Sarah demand his intelligence. He reveals the name Viktor Rykov. Sarah is stunned, insisting Viktor is dead, while Ritter attempts to conceal the truth before admitting Viktor is the leader of the men. John identifies him among the images, alarming both Sarah and Ritter. Ritter insists on capturing Viktor alive, while John demands to join the mission. Clay initially refuses, and Greer surprisingly agrees, deeming John unfit. However, Clay changes his mind, allowing John to participate but warning he will return to prison afterward. John joins the squad at a hangar, preparing to fly on a commercial jet before parachuting into Russia. Ritter departs separately, promising to meet them later. During the flight, John confronts Greer about her earlier doubts, but she explains she was only protecting him. John reflects that had he left the Marines earlier and avoided the mission, his family might still be alive. He blames himself and vows to exact revenge, dismissing Greer's reminder that this is an extraction mission. At the drop zone, the team prepares to jump when a Russian fighter jet intercepts them. Ordered to divert, the pilot refuses, prompting the Russians to fire a missile that cripples the plane's engines, sending it crashing into the sea. Greer orders the team to abandon the aircraft, but John refuses to leave the equipment behind, knowing the mission depends on it. As the plane sinks, John dives with it, scavenging air pockets while securing gear bags with flotation devices. Nearly out of breath, he manages to attach one final bag before surfacing, where his squad rescues him onto an inflatable boat. The team presses forward, arriving at their safe house in town. John suspects Ritter's involvement in the attack and resolves to investigate. Meanwhile, Ritter and his team monitor news of the downed jet, only to be confronted when John and his squad storm in, holding them at gunpoint. Ritter attempts to justify his actions, but John seizes him by the neck. Ritter insists that his only objective is to reach Viktor and denies betraying the Marines. John eventually releases him, and Ritter departs to compose himself. Soon after, the Marines, accompanied by Ritter and his men, arrive in a van at a building directly opposite Viktor's hideout. John scopes the area through his sights, prompting concern from Greer, but he reassures her that he is only observing. Later, The squad infiltrates the building with John leading the advance. As they ascend the stairs, John instructs them to wait while he checks ahead. Unexpectedly, he locks them behind a gate and proceeds alone. Victor enters the apartment, finding everyone dead, and calls out John's name. When Victor reveals that he works for the CIA, John vows to make him pay for Pam's death. Confronting Victor, who is strapped with a bomb vest, John realizes they are both pawns in a larger scheme. He urges Victor to continue speaking, but Victor declares himself a patriot before detonating the vest. The squad catches up with John, who informs Greer that Victor had been waiting for them. Suddenly, a sniper opens fire, wounding one of the soldiers. Unable to locate the shooter, John uses a shard of glass to pinpoint his position and provides cover fire as the team attempts to reach their injured comrade. A second sniper emerges, forcing them to retreat under heavy fire. 2 police officers arrive but are immediately killed by the snipers. John fears the deaths will be blamed on them, realizing that someone intends for the Russians to find dead Americans on their soil, potentially igniting a conflict. While the squad lays down suppressive fire, John blasts a hole through the wall into an adjacent flat. Greer moves to ambush the sniper while John distracts him. She bursts in but runs out of ammunition, engaging in hand-to-hand combat. Despite being overpowered, she manages to throw the sniper off balance and fatally stab him. The squad regroups in the lobby, but the building is surrounded by police, preventing escape. John devises a plan to distract the authorities, allowing the others to flee. Greer resists, but John reminds her that as a convicted felon, his death would not spark international conflict. She reluctantly agrees, and John heads to the roof. Launching his assault, John hurls grenades and opens fire, buying time for the squad to escape. Cornered by police, he kills several officers and forces the rest back. Wounded, he dives through the roof to evade capture. Engaging another soldier, he kills him, seizes his rifle, and fights his way down the stairs, scattering enemies. He arms a bomb in his bag, triggering a massive explosion that cloaks his escape. Disguised as a Russian soldier, John commandeers an ambulance and drives back to the hideout, where Greer recognizes him and helps him inside. The squad quickly departs the country by boat. John reflects that Victor was merely another pawn and doubts they will ever uncover the true mastermind. Expecting to return to prison, he is surprised when Ritter offers him money and freedom, believing they stand a better chance of exposing the conspiracy with John operating as a ghost. Later, Clay is seen at dinner, watching news reports of escalating tensions between Russia and the United States. In the bathroom, John confronts him about the failed operation and the conspiracy. When Clay inadvertently reveals knowledge beyond what was disclosed, John confirms his suspicions. He chokes Clay unconscious, who awakens chained in John's car. John demands answers, threatening Clay's family if he refuses. Clay finally admits that the entire scheme was orchestrated to strengthen America, claiming the nation is most powerful during wartime. John fastens his seatbelt and drives off a bridge into a river, forcing Clay to call Pam's name before watching him drown. Submerged, John envisions reuniting with Pam in the afterlife. The film then depicts Pam and John's funerals, with Greer receiving the flag on behalf of the family. Returning to her vehicle, she finds John waiting. Ritter later uses the recorded conversation between John and Clay to blackmail the government into granting John a new identity. At a train station, John bids farewell to Greer, preparing to embark on a new life.
John Clark.